Welcome back, everyone. This is the Thanks for Rolling podcast. I'm Pat. I'm here with Jeff. What's going on, Jeff?
How are you? It's been a while.
It has. Our last podcast was the ADCC breakdown, right?
That's right. Yeah, didn't air in that order, but we haven't talked since September.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Wow, it's been a while.
So we had Dr. Kenny in there, too.
That's right. Grappling doc.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's been a while.
Nice.
Well, you're good.
Tonight we're joined by another recent black belt friend, Eric Lundell. Welcome to the show.
How's it going? Thanks for having me
Eric,
here.
welcome.
Think you got your black belt like a week before me?
No, same day.
Same day?
I'm the 20th.
What was that, 29th?
No, you were the 20th or 21st.
It was a Monday.
Weekend. Maybe the 22nd.
You planned all this.
Man, I know.
Come on, dude.
I'm going to have to go look. It was...
I was just thinking the other day, I'm like, I should probably write this down somewhere.
So, funny story. We'll start off right away. As you know, Jay Bell, he will always ask you, when did you get promoted?
Oh, man.
So you'll be going, and then he'll come up one day and be like, when did you get your brown belt? And then you have to like think. So what I did when I got the black belt is I got a little, embroider, had my name on it. And then where the stripes go, I have 8/20, 2022 on there. So I never have to get asked again.
Nice. I guess I make it too easy for our guys. We have a chalkboard up on the wall.
I saw
everyone's
that. That was very cool.
there.
Yeah.
It's the 22nd.
22nd. All right, same weekend.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I bet it's on my certificate.
Yeah. Yeah, that's upstairs,
That's upstairs.
I guess. Yeah. Yep, because I remember I came right back from, I was on vacation, and then when I came back, it was that following Monday, so.
Nice. Was yours a surprise, or did you suspect it was coming? I know. So you guys do the big annual
Kumite.
promotion, Kumite.
Yeah, so, again, J Bell fashion, I was 50-50, maybe 2 weeks before. We're both helping out coaching at Fisheye Wrestling, which is a youth wrestling club in Connecticut. And he comes, I was helping doing the little fish class, and he comes in for the high schoolers. And as we're passing, he comes up and he says, just out of blue, when'd you get your brown belt? And I'm like, ... And he's like, okay. He's like, how many stripes? And I'm like, you don't give me stripes because I usually follow you around at promotions and give you the tape to put people on. Then you always forget about me. And he's like, I'm such a such a jerk. And I'm like, whatever. And then he goes, are you ready? I'm like, ready for what? And he goes, are you ready for black belt? And I'm like, that's a loaded question. I'm like, yes, I think I am. And he goes, interesting. And he walks away.
It's amazing.
So, okay. So we're 2 weeks out from our promotion day, and I'm like, does this mean I should let family know? Should I?
Is this a yes? Does he think
yes.
my ego's too big?
Yeah. I was like, was that a trick question? And then that was it. Well, that wasn't it. So then my daughter wrestles. So I took my son home because he's 5, and he was at the youth practice. And then I'm sitting at home like, I should have said more. I should have fought for my, dissertation on what I should have done, so then I go back a couple hours later to pick my daughter up from the practice, and I'm like, hey, listen, you caught me off by surprise. Boom, 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 boom. This is, I'm like stating and then he goes, okay, walks away again. I'm like, all right, whatever. So then the whole week goes by, and I'm just have no idea. Then I see him the Friday night before our Sunday promotions, and he's like, hey, a whole bunch of all the coaches after wrestling practice are going to come back to my house and have a barbecue and swim or something. He's like, you want to come? I'm like, yeah, sure. And then he goes, you know what? You're going to have a long day on Sunday. You probably should rest. And I'm like, I think I know what that means. Okay. And then, so I was probably 85% sure when I came in on Sunday, but definitely not. It's definitely not. Be ready, you're going. It was up in the air till it happened. So
Nice.
Makes it more fun, I think.
So then what do you guys do after promotion? Do you have literally like a battle royal?
Oh, before promotion. So warm up, do whatever. He was into frog jumps this year. So we frog jump down and back for 5 minutes at a time, and then we would positionally spar, and he's watching frog jump back and forth. And then so it went from 11 o'clock till 3:30 was the end, but take that last half hour for doing belts and stuff. So 11 to 3. And from about 12:30, he was like, if you're getting a colored belt, get in the mat, and you just get attacked for that other 2.5+ hours. So, he generally has it in his mind. Blue belts are 40 minutes or whatever. Purple belts are like an hour. Brown belts are like 90 minutes. And then if you're getting a black belt,
Till death.
Till death.
Yeah.
And then what was cool this year that we hadn't done before, which was great, is at the very end when you're totally exhausted, the whole gym circled up and 4 guys had put boxing gloves on, and you had to, if you were getting your black belt, you had to get in the middle, and they came at you. You had to like crash cover and take them down, and you were tired. So people were getting, I walked out of there with black eyes and stuff. It was a great day.
I caught some of the videos, and guys are not holding back.
No. And you're exhausted, so it was.
That's awesome.
It was a good day.
When I got my blue belt, I had to. So I trained Connor's MMA out in Eastern Mass for a while, and at the time, John, some kind of thing's always into like putting guys through like a little ordeal, and he was like, "All right, well, you're gonna fight Jesse McElligott, who's a pro MMA fighter," and he kicked my ass like on the wall, like takedowns. Like I was like, "This sucks, dude. Like if I don't get a blue belt after this, like this sucks." That was the most miserable possible experience. So thank you for making it a little easier in this here.
I mean, I'm not opposed to changing my ways.
Every great story sucks to make, though. So
This is true.
That's how you got to keep it.
This is true.
Yeah, we've never done the big planned promotion thing, but it's always in the back of my mind. I enjoy the experiences like that.
Yeah.
I see the value in it.
So back it up. I don't think we actually said where you trained.
Okay, sorry. Gracie Farmington Valley, which is in Canton, Connecticut.
Okay.
And
Yes,
we
met
met
when it was still in the basement in
Terriffill.
Simsbury.
Honestly, I wish it was still there. It was like the Henzo Blue.
I liked
basement.
it.
Yeah, the dungeon. But, bigger and better things.
Yeah.
Yeah, that place was special. I remember the bathroom would occasionally smell horribly like shit.
Yeah. And you were like traveling the state back then. You still lived up here, right?
Yeah, so we had just moved to Connecticut, so I was I bounced around just trying to find somewhere to train, and then I remember trying a class there. Jimmy Campbell was teaching, and kind of really jived with him, and then I met Jay Bell and really liked training with him. So yeah, that was like my home base for like a year, but I was bouncing down and teaching in Fairfield at the same time too.
Right, yeah, so that's what I thought. I remember you were like...
Yeah, and I was working in Rocky Hill, so it was like Suffield, Rocky Hill, Tariffville, Fairfield, like all over the place. Just,
You're like a Ronin.
yeah,
He was 10th Planet Pat.
Like
trying to get my legs under me, just get all the training in I could.
Anybody seen 10 Planet Pat? I like that.
Yeah, but I always tell everyone, aside from my direct lineage and instructors, I think Jay Bell probably had the biggest imprint on my jiu-jitsu just from my short time training there. Just, I don't know, changed a lot of my mindset and approach, and I really adopted his style to mesh with mine.
That's good.
I love it.
Awesome, yeah.
Yeah. I bring it up in class all the time. Like, I just remember him telling me at one point just how terrible and weak my pressure was.
That is...
Because I was just like a, run around real fast kind of guy as a purple belt.
Sure
and
were.
he's like, you have no pressure.
That's...
I'm like, what do you mean? I'm on top. He's like, that's not pressure.
Yeah, our gym is definitely based around making people uncomfortable and the slow death.
Yeah. So I adopted a large portion of that from him.
That's great. Awesome.
I was going to say that's not the case anymore.
No, we're like, that's strongly become our style too.
Oh, good. Awesome.
Yep.
Nice.
It's funny now, like you may not hear this, but I hear it sometimes. You're like, other students will be like, well, Pat's not that big, but man, he gets a lot of pressure. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Turns out it's a skill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I not too long ago went to Henry Aiken's seminar, and you want to talk about pressure. So it was 3 hours of maintaining the mount and magic. And then there were only seminar I've been to where it was 50% black belts taking it, and then the other 50% were other belts, but like legit taking it there, not just there because it's their gym or whatever, taking it. And he called out, first it was like a 3-stripe black belt. He gets him down. He's like, all right, escape them out. And the guy starts off slow, and he's like, no, come on. And the guy's going, and he can't get out. So he starts like amping it up and Henry's just going and going, and then the guy's like really trying, and he's like, hey, just so the class understands, I'm not using my hands right here. And he was just pinching his knees and using pressure. And then he showed a few more things, and then he got a 4-stripe black belt. Comes out, same thing. All right, try to get out. Go. And the 4-stripe black belt just lays there on the ground. And he's like, well, what are you doing? He's like, I'm going to wait for you to do something. And Henry goes, okay. Slaps him. And he goes, we don't wait on the ground. That's where you're going to get killed. And then the guy really tried to get out. He couldn't. And he goes, again, I'm not using my hands. You got to pinch your knees. And I was like, wow.
Yeah. Like, please don't call on me.
Yeah. No, but I wanted to feel it. So I was, when he finally got around, I'm like, hey, I got a question. And I'm just so I could, and it's doesn't make sense. It's like a car being on top of you, and he's, no effort, no energy, just perfect, whatever it is, magic.
Yeah. So I followed him a little bit probably right before I transitioned here. And his game is always, it felt very simplistic, right? Like very, I don't want to call it basic. It's not basic, right? But it's like there's not a lot of wasted things happening there. It always felt like, oh, I could adapt this, right? Like his technique is I don't know, I guess simplified maybe is the right word to say it, right? Because to your point, like I'm just using my legs here, right? Very like identifiable the way he does stuff.
Yeah, and if you look at him, Hodger Gracie, and now Gordon Ryan, they're all basically doing the same stuff, especially Gordon's like current game, which, it's not flashy at all. I mean, he could do all the everything's, the rolls and all that if he wanted to. But right now he's getting into a mountain, wearing you out.
Yeah.
Henry's been on my list of seminars to get to. I just always seem to catch it late when he's in the area or something. I need to keep an eye on it.
Yeah, I'd like to attend one of his too.
So let me ask you this: how much outside of 10th Planet people do you guys follow or go on the Instagram and say, hey, I want to go on this today? Or do you kind of stay within the 10th Planet universe for the majority?
I mean, it's a timely question because I've been working on kind of restructuring our fundamentals curriculum, actually get things on paper and stick to a structure. So I was talking to Jeff about this. He was asking me the same question, like what's on it, and trying to take in, all the basics and a little sampling of what everyone's doing out there. But then, of course, we got to stick to our 10th Planet bread and butter stuff and have all that mixed in there too. But
right.
I like to think that we have a pretty comprehensive mix of everything.
Nice.
Most of the guys here started with you, right? I mean, there's not a lot of cross-pollination from other instructors.
Probably like 70-30 right now.
Yeah. Do any of them own gis?
Some do.
We break out the gis once in a while.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yep.
I always keep one on hand, ready to go.
Awesome. Great.
It's funny after training in one for so long, and then we break it out here, and I'm like, man, fuck this thing. I hate it. Like, I'm so sick. I don't want to wear this ever again. Yep.
I enjoy it every now and then. Still not my favorite, but I definitely value the little bit of training we do in it.
Could there ever be a 10th Planet gi school?
Not 100% gi school, but 10th Planet Fairfield, they're about 50-50.
Okay. All right. Nice. Are they're part core too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think they're split right down the middle, like 2 or 3 classes a week in each.
Nice.
Yeah, and they're one cohesive team, but their ranking structure is a little bit separated and nuanced.
Okay. Yeah. Gotcha. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, we try to cover it all. Yeah, I'm trying to build it so we have fundamentals classes 4 times a week. Trying to build it so if you're a day one guy, you only come to fundamentals class, you can get everything over the course of time.
Right. And not
get overwhelmed with some of the advanced stuff.
Yeah. And I don't run the gym over at Gracie Farmington Valley. I teach Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 10 a.m. class, which I am free to do. But that is what I foresee as being the hardest thing is you get an adult who has a job and is like, I can come on these nights, and those nights maybe don't have a fundamentals class.
Yeah.
If they jump in, for the most part, they'll be okay, but then they're always lacking something that they should have been taught in a fundamentals class, but it's hard to say, hey, you can only come on Wednesdays. I mean, 4 nights a week is great. A lot of places only have it on like one night a week, and it's like, if they don't come, you just throw them in the deep end and they'll figure out how to swim. But it seems like when you get to blue belt or a little higher, there's definitely a fundamental aspect that might be missing.
Yep. I think we've talked about this. It's just hard with the jiu-jitsu model. I think there's just no way to start someone at square one and teach them all the fundamentals they need to know before going elsewhere, because everyone's just coming in on this constant cycle.
CrossFit is what it is, and I did it for a while. They have the on-ramp program, which you have to do.
I was just going to say.
And then Rob Magow has like the Pedro Sauer kind of introduction thing, where it's a revolving list of 36 techniques, Monday through Friday, and then it just continues. So whatever day you start on of whatever month, you have to hit those 36 classes 4 times before you can advance to blue belt. And so again, though, if you can't make those days, or it's as best you can, I guess.
Yeah, it's similar to like the Gracie Fundamentals program, right? You got to get through all these things in order, and it kind of cycles back through.
Right.
Yeah, I'm trying to some degree model the new stuff I'm putting together after that. We're not going to be doing a specific belt test, but I mean, here's your list of, it's all written down. Here's your list of fundamental techniques. Like, I need to be seeing you competent in this stuff before that belt's coming.
You guys have formalized warm-ups, or right? 10th Planet?
Yeah, so in my opinion, they got a little too out of control and advanced. So what I'm working on is basically a broken down version of that, trying to make it more of a warm-up and not an advanced technique flow.
Gotcha.
So trying to get in all the beginner stuff that everyone needs to know, because I mean, if anytime someone's got a knock on 10th Planet, it's usually on the lack of fundamentals. So I'm trying to cover that hole up.
Good.
You have guys out there doing barambolos to leg locks, but they can't shrimp out of the mount.
Yes.
So trying to not have those guys.
Then, I mean, that happens everywhere also, but yeah, that's definitely.
And you can only control it to a certain degree. You're always going to have students that just gravitate towards whatever crazy shit they want to work on.
Yeah, I was just thinking, like, we were talking about EBI and ADCC before we started recording, and when you see those big events, no gi, and I wonder if that feeds into that, right? Like, you have younger guys who are watching that stuff, getting excited by it, like, oh, I want to do that. I don't really want to do this thing where I've got to shrimp my way out of side control. Because you think about, like, I'm not naming names, but we know some people who can, like, I want to do this crazy takedown, but I don't really want to do this.
So I look at
positional drill.
I look at leg locks that way. I think leg locks, me personally, I'll just throw it out there. Purple belt should be started. Why? Is because I don't want to use the word easy. I don't want to use it cheap, but it's a quick way to get instant gratification when you're new. Because some older guys, you jump on a leg, they're going to tap and just, hey, whatever. That doesn't necessarily mean you got the leg lock and you have good positioning and you're doing it right. It's just nobody wants to blow their knee out, especially with a new guy who they're like, oh, this guy's a white belt and he's jumping on legs and stuff.
Yeah.
Here, tap, whatever. So I think it gives a false identity of being better than a lot of them are. And then, to your point, you get with somebody who's just like, I'm going to keep my legs away from you, and then you get inside control or mount, and they're like, now they're done. And maybe they made it to blue belt or something, and again, the lost fundamentals. So I think leg locks are, I get the other thing where everybody knows them now and you have to teach them and all that, but I think it's like, I don't know, kind of.
It's certainly the hot topic of the last couple of weeks, right?
Yeah. Here or just in general?
Well, we've been talking about it, but I think especially coming out of EBI, right? Like, I think it's obviously been a hot topic with Pat and what those guys are doing. So
with Pat, let me ask you this: I watched the qualifier on Eddie Bravo's channel. I think obviously they filmed it a while ago, but it was just out like 2 weeks ago. And I'm like, wow, this kid is phenomenal. And then I messaged you, and you were like, yeah, I know about him and all that. But my question is, how good is he at leg locks, which is pretty good, very good. But now, how much psychological warfare does he have on guys? Because they know he's just ripping it. So people have seen, he probably did 6 or 7 matches in that qualifier, and then he did 2, blew one guy's knee out in the first match he did for EBI. So how many future people going against him are going to be tentative right on? Not saying that that's a bad strategy, but he is ripping it. I mean,
Yeah, the psychological part of it, I think, is huge. Like, people point to, how every time now Gordon gets exposure on a heel hook, like, people are tapping fast, but it's because he's shown that he has the ability to take it to the break if he needs to. So, yeah, some of that could come into play. And it's also, I mean, now the word's out, so are guys going to be good enough to avoid it? Maybe, maybe not.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's why I'm interested. He's in this Emerald City Invitational coming up with some of the same guys from the EBI, some other really good guys. So I'll be interested to see if they're good enough to just completely avoid his leg lock game, or if does he have the skills to still force it. I mean, the rest of his game's pretty solid too.
Oh yeah.
Him and his dad were up here about a year ago with their whole squad, and I mean, back a year ago, his game's solid all around.
15 a year ago, right? Maybe.
Yeah, when we first met him, I think he had just turned 15, and he, I mean, every time we've seen him, right, he's going after legs, right, like inverting. I mean, I don't know that I've seen him finish a match, and I don't mean this in a disrespectful way, but like I personally haven't seen him finish a match that's not a leg lock. Like,
his EBI overtime's really solid too.
Yeah.
Like, he lost.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
that match he lost in the second round was like 12 seconds of escape time or something.
For being a bigger guy, he gets out of that.
He moves really well. He moves really well.
But the other thing is, he clearly doesn't have ligaments in his legs or knees or anything, because he'll just stay in 50-50 and let them mess with his leg, and he doesn't seem like he's in any pain.
He talked about in his little interview after the qualifiers. He's like, it doesn't hurt.
Hey.
Yeah,
his
like,
dad.
Good for you, because it hurts me.
Yeah. His dad, Chris, posted yesterday or the day before, I saw, like, doing Instagram Live or whatever, and he was saying, like, look, like, Pat trains the shit out of this, right? He trains to be super technical, and he trains about how to defend it. So when you see him in the 50-50, like, Pat knows what he's doing there, right? It's not just a matter of him, like, hanging out and just eating the pain the whole time, right? Like, he's doing what he needs to do to stay safe there. I'll be curious now to see if guys let that position hang out, right? Like, you let that position hang out with him, and you're done.
Yeah.
Right? Like, why?
That's mistake number one. Don't just sit there on your butt in 50-50 with him.
Right. I mean, like, as soon as they're hand fighting, as soon as that hand fighting breaks, you're hosed, because he's ripping that ankle, right?
Ripping it.
Like, so, yeah, I can't imagine. I don't understand why anybody would let that. Right? But, like, get in that position and stay there with him.
I think to date, it's just been a lack of knowledge on him.
Or ego. He's 16.
Yeah.
There's some of that
he's
too.
A blue belt, air quotes, and I'm a black belt, and then it's too late.
Yeah, some of those matches you do see the tap coming a little bit late. I think they just don't want to believe that it's happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good for him. I mean, he's made. So when we interviewed him, that was for what, Enigma, when we met them the first time, and local up here, right? A bunch of guys from Long Island had come up, and now the kid is everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Like, you cannot look at a jiu-jitsu anything right now without his name popping up. So, I mean, in a little over a year, he's really made a name for himself and showing up in these big tournaments, right? Like,
he's playing to the crowd. He's got the big,
crazy glasses.
crazy, razors or whatever they are.
I sent that picture to Jeff, and I said, "Tell me you're 16 in EBI without telling me you're 16 in EBI."
right. His spiked glasses.
But he's a really nice kid, really well spoken. Like, we've had some great conversation with him.
Yeah, and he's that new generation of, like, the Tackets, the homeschooled,
just train all day
kind of, and that's the future for sure. Well, the future's here, I think. They're start.
We could see him and Tackett in Emerald City, right?
That's right.
The two young guns going at each other. We'll see what happens there. So there's some big names in that tournament, right? I mean, big names and big bodies.
Yeah.
So it should be interesting to see. I think that's next weekend, the 5th.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to that one.
What else on EBI stood out to you?
Nicky Rod. So he came up to do a seminar at our place maybe a year ago. And I'll totally read the wrong, book by its cover. He came in. I'm like, all right, I'm going to go see him because he's Nicky Rod. Expectations not great about how the seminar was going to be. He was phenomenal. He taught like he was Danaher's student, and it was methodical. He walked around, corrected everyone. The way he was able to put the information out and then make corrections, it was one of the better seminars I've ever been to, and I've been to a ton. I was blown away. But his guard passing and EBI was on point. It was.
Yeah. I was impressed with his submission variety. As well.
Reverse triangle, regular triangle. Then he had overtime.
He had that switch off to the arm bar
against.
That's right. Yep. Who was it? Griffith. It looked like he was just going to slide off the back and see big dude just roll under and take the arm bar from his back, all stacked up.
Yeah, it was
I saw it was a lot of variety that I haven't seen from him in competition.
And then it's Kyle, right?
Kyle Bame.
Bame.
Yeah.
Everyone talks about he's always right there. Mm-hmm. Craig Jones, they say, is this perennial silver medalist. I mean, Kyle's right there too. I feel for him because it always seems to be a Danaher guy, or current that kind of roadblocks him. But he had a phenomenal tournament as well. He had a couple heel hooks, rear naked choke.
Yeah, he's had the hard thing is you get to that level, you don't get any easy matches anywhere. So it's easy for people to start judging you and be like, oh, that guy, he never submits anybody. He's losing more than he's winning. But every match is against a top 10 guy. Right. So I was excited to see him get out there and pick up a couple of
he did really
good submissions.
Really well.
And then he's one of the best at EBI overtime. But, I mean, you got Nicky Rod just starting on your back. That's it's a tough battle to win.
So what do you think about the overtime? Would you rather see the current format, whatever it is, 10 minutes or 20 minutes, 10 minutes and then right into overtime, or would you like to see a second 5 minutes or,
I like the format. I think I'm sure there's always going to be evolution and it could get better, but I think for sub only, it's one of the best formats that there is right now.
I like the get down rule, and I'm big stand up takedown.
But if you can't get the takedown,
wrestling,
we got to get to work.
That's what we're here for. So I actually liked the takedown rule quite a bit.
So is it 1 minute?
1 minute.
1 minute on the feet. They call it the get down. You have to get down. They flip a coin.
You start in butterfly.
Yeah. One double underhooks.
Think about how many matches in ADCC were just like hand fighting, clinch work. Like, I was like, dude, I don't really want to see this. Like, that's not really what I'm here for, right?
And that was the big lead up to ADCC was how great the wrestling's going to be. Everybody's wrestling, how great the wrestling's going to be. And there were a few guys that did good, but a lot of it was just like a white belt naga where they're just
pushing each other around.
Yeah. I have an appreciation for the ADCC rules, but unfortunately that's a byproduct of it. You get those. I mean, you can't pull guard without getting penalized.
Right.
And if neither of you are good at wrestling, or maybe you're both good at wrestling, but evenly matched, it's going to lead to those clashes that aren't the most exciting to spectate.
Right.
Yeah. And then with the points, you had the Craig Jones. It was his final match, the gold medal match.
Yeah, against Kynan.
And he had
-8.
Yeah. And, at some point, what are we there for to watch, or what are they there for to do? So I like the get down rule. I thought that was I kept it going. Like, it was.
Did they do cumulative like ride time? Or was that only in the qualifiers?
No, so standard EBI overtime, the ride time is, or they call it escape time. It's cumulative for the 3 rounds of overtime.
Yeah, okay. Yep.
Yeah, it's I don't know, I'm sure you could argue there's better ways to go about it, but I think gets the job done satisfactory.
Like,
you have a definitive winner, whether you like the way the person won or not. At least you know who won. It's not just us sitting on the side saying, "Oh, I think he won."
right. And that's, if you took away the pageantry of ADCC and you just put them, the EBI 20 and ADCC on par without how big of an event that was, I thought EBI was more entertaining to watch.
Match for match for sure.
Yeah.
Yep. And people will complain about the EBI rules, like, "Oh, I dominated the guy the whole time, and then he beats me in overtime."
You certainly can stall as a game plan and be really good at overtime.
Yeah, but Eddie he throws Marcelo Garcia out there. He's like, you think if Marcelo Garcia got put on someone's back, he's not just going to immediately finish. Like, you just need to get that good at finishing your overtime rounds.
Right.
Like, he's not going to complain about, I get to start on the guy's back. I'm going to cry that he escapes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, you couldn't be much more dominant than that. I don't ever want to see it go to the judges. That's really for me. Like, I don't want some
just too
person who wasn't there. Yeah, exactly. Like, that ruins it for me. You just never know. It's not as bad in my mind in jiu-jitsu as something like MMA, right? Where it's like some guys like watching a totally different freaking fight. Like, haven't seen that as much, but I just don't want to see them get involved, period. Like, if you can just avoid that.
Well, what it ends up being is it's just like secret points.
Right.
If you're a judge, you're keeping track of something. So now it's points, but no one else knows what the points are.
Yeah. Right. So my daughter, kind of a segue, but she does Irish step dance and kind of a higher level, and she also wrestles. And I'm cool with both. Both are awesome. But when the step dance is all judges, and it could be how she dances, it could be how her dress is, it could be how they're feeling that day, and something aligns or doesn't align. And I'm like, hey, wrestling, you either win or you don't.
Yeah.
It's not in the judge's hands. And the light went on because she did her first wrestling tournament not too long ago. And I was like, there's no judges here. It's one or the other. Doesn't matter. Me and, do you know Joey Carta? Black belt? He's her godfather. So he went too, and we're there. And we're like, me and Joey, don't care how you're just doing it. It's awesome. But she was like, this is so much better than judges. Like, it's just either win or you don't.
She
I'm like,
controls it, yeah.
Yeah, you can, exactly.
And you know how you're doing the whole time.
Yeah,
am I down on 2 points, so I have to do something crazy to get it back.
Right, yep. So, judges it's tough. And especially with commissions and, who's paying who and all that stuff at the bigger levels, man, who knows?
Yeah, I don't like draws either because it just, I don't know. I feel like it's an easy way out for guys to not have a loss on their record.
Yeah, they were, what was that? Metamoris, every freaking fight was a draw.
Yeah.
Because, they're like,
Polaris does that too. It's sub or draw.
People. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that would suck. You'd be so
You end up
excited
with
for a
all
match, and
draws.
then it would end up in a draw. Like, this blows. Like, just be locked up in each other's gi for the entire time. Like, this stinks.
Do you have any plans on doing another, like, quintet type thing?
It's always on the back burner. We're always talking about it.
That was great.
Yeah.
And it was great.
I know. Everyone's always asking me.
I also know that putting on a tournament is a pain in the butt. So I get that.
It is.
aspect
And
too.
that one just came out of nowhere. I could not have put less effort into it
I wouldn't have known.
and had the expectations be lower. Like, that's why we ran out of
Drop the
trash
mic.
bags. We ran out of toilet paper. I didn't have like anywhere to put the money that was coming in the door. Cause I'm like, no one's going to show up to this thing. It's going to be like the 5 guys from each team, their coach, a couple of friends. So I had like 2 newer students I barely knew working the front door for me. And they're just like coming over to me with like, where do you want me to put this money? I'm like, I don't know. And mom's coming over because I'm out of toilet paper. I'm like, I didn't expect 300 people to be here.
It was
one little trash can overflowing. So I'm a little worried that if I do it again, I'm going to put more work into it.
right.
And it's not going to live up to that level. But I know that's just me being in my own head.
Don't you feel like now you have, like, more people you can rely on? Like you have other
for
people,
sure.
like, who
I know I could barely find people to like be willing to run the stopwatch. They're like nervous they're going to screw it up.
Did you go to Sabatero at our place or watch?
Yeah,
or
I competed in
did.
2 of them.
You had
Yeah.
a team.
I was in the team 1.
What's on your 10th Planet team?
No, I was with some guys from your squad. I was with
You were. That's right.
with Frank.
Corey. No.
No, it was Frank, Chris Marks,
Yes.
Big Jim,
Big Jim. Okay. Yes. Yeah.
and James. I think James, yeah.
That was a good one too.
Yeah, that was fun.
COVID kind of ruined everything because we had a whole bunch of those, I think, lined up, and then they fell off, and then they never really kind of picked back up again.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that was fun. I enjoyed that.
that was a good example of professional jiu-jitsu players and really good hobbyists, and the difference between I'll sit there and stay in the pocket with leg locks because I'm a pro and this is my job, and I want that money, and I'm all set. Oh, you got me.
So when I saw the teams lining up for that one, and people had reached out to me to put together a team, I'm like, I don't have guys that can hang at that level, because I recognized a couple of those teams. I'm like, they're full on pros. Like, I can't be
Right.
sending my blue belts into that fire, and someone's gonna get hurt. And then last minute, I think it was Jimmy kept bugging me to fill that last spot on their team. I'm like, whatever. I like the guys on the team. I'll go into the battle with them. And, we were middle of the road, but those, the guys that are competing professionally is just another level.
Yes.
We saw that when we did the RCS event, right? Like there were a lot of matches that were professional, competing, jiu-jitsu, black belt, brown belt, whatever, versus professional MMA guy. And I think for the most part, the jiu-jitsu guys smoke the MMA
It's
guys,
just
right?
a different style
Yeah.
and level of jiu-jitsu. They're focusing just on their jiu-jitsu every day.
Yeah. But going back to the one you hosted, that was the cool part about it was from the schools in the area.
Yeah, and that's why I said it. That one we did purple belt and below. So I was
Right.
trying to make it even,
Yeah.
not just have some super team come in just because there's some money on the line.
Right.
The money was just you got to get some kind of commitment from people to actually show up. So it was
Yeah, and it's
a couple $100 a team.
we had or Rob had his submission only New England one. He had a couple guys from Henzo's come up because there's money, and it's just you're like, oh wow.
Yeah, I think it was 2016. I competed there and ran into Frank Rosenthal first round. He decided that day to come up because there was a $500 absolute.
Yeah. I think he went against Greg Wood too, and it was Greg Wood's phenomenal black belt, and it was wow, jeez.
How was Frank? Fun?
It was fun while it lasted, but it went about as you would expect it to go.
Yeah.
Kept him off my legs for a minute, but eventually he was going to get there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it was the same thing. You have the level of respect for what his breaking abilities are. So
Gotta go.
I was not waiting to see how it went.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
It was fun. It was cool to have the opportunity though. But yeah, it comes up a lot. We have
a lot. I shouldn't say we. You have a lot of ideas for things to do.
Yeah.
Right? There's a lot of
strong on ideas.
Yeah.
We're doing a little in-house tournament here early December. Just, match our kids up with each other to get some experience. And then 10th Planet Fairfield's going to bring up some of their blue and white belts to
Oh, nice.
just get a few matches under our belts. But yeah, maybe another quintet will be next on the list early in the year because it is pretty minimal. Doing the quintet style really cuts down on the amount of work because I just talk to one guy from each team.
Exactly.
And then he gathers up all of his guys.
Yeah,
so.
there's no brackets and no million people have to weigh in. It's, hey, here's your team weight. Done.
You send me one payment.
Yeah.
You show up,
Yeah.
weigh in all at once.
Yep.
Nice and easy.
Yeah, that was a blast that day.
Yeah.
Right, that was right before COVID too. It was February right before, right?
It was the day after Valentine's Day.
Yeah. Yep. That was.
Yeah, I was blown away. I not being overly humble. I really had low expectations for how it was going to go.
Yeah. I'm sure I'm not the only one who said it was a great tournament. So
No, literally everyone. I get messages from people I don't know that I don't know if they were here watching it or they had teammates that told them about it, but
Yeah.
the people want it.
Give the people what they want back.
We'll do it. Just need some help. Did you catch any of the women's event on Saturday, the Medusa?
I did not.
There were some good matches there too.
Did the Fatima?
She was not in it.
So
No.
she's I met her briefly over at Mike Wacker's, and she's phenomenal.
She's intense.
Yeah, phenomenal. I thought she was, for some reason I thought I saw her name for that, or maybe she pulled out or something. But
Yeah, I think she was. It happens with all of them. You see the initial poster, and then shit happens over the course of 6 months leading up to it.
was that combat jiu-jitsu, or was that?
So one bracket was combat jiu-jitsu. I think I forget what the weights were. One weight was combat jiu-jitsu. The other weight was just EBI rules.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, there were some good displays of jiu-jitsu. The girl that won the non-combat jiu-jitsu had some crazy submissions.
I'll have to just check it out. It's probably on Fight Pass.
It's on Fight Pass, yeah.
Yeah, I forgot that. I remember seeing the ads for that and forgot that it was the same weekend. There's a lot of fighting activity last weekend between the big UFC card, those two events.
Yeah. Talk about, freaking Islam had an arm choke in Oliveira. Wow.
And then making comments about
is that a real black
reevaluate his black belt.
Yeah,
Come on, dude. You cracked him with punches.
Right. It was easy street to begin with. Yeah, I didn't see the fight. I just saw that highlight. I was like, oof. That guy's a beast.
They can wrestle. They're good. It would have been. I know that they were asking Khabib to do some jiu-jitsu type tournaments. Some bigger things, and he's like, "I'm done. I'm retired," which I respect. But it would be nice to see him go to
straight
ADCC.
grappling.
Yeah, it'd be interesting.
Yeah, there was a post last April 1st that I think I sent to you and I sent to Ryan, one of the other guys who went with us, and it said Khabib entered the 77K bracket. Ryan was like, "Holy shit!" Then I realized, I'm like, "Oh wait, it's April 1st. Never mind."
I actually think I fell for the same exact one. I sent it to 15 people.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is gonna be great.
Yeah.
It would be really interesting to see, how he would adapt to just a straight grappling rule set.
Yeah.
You would think his takedown game would translate, right?
His takedown game, he does that lockdown with his legs into half guard. I think it,
Yeah, he's heavy on the control, so
the smash.
we'll never know.
Yeah, I kind of miss watching him. I just love watching him smash people. It was just awesome. Just great fun to watch. Just ragdolling. He fought Michael Johnson and took him down 75 times, right? Or I think it was Sam, or maybe it was not Hermes Franca. I forget who it was now. Maybe it was Johnson. I forget. He took him down 7 times or whatever. I was like,
I love the way he
Jesus.
wraps up both legs low at the knees and climbs his way up to the mount.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just sucks the life out of guys.
And all his guys from that team are the same. Do you see the meme where he's got the PS2 controller?
Yeah.
It's all the same. It's great.
I've tried to do that, get on top and wrap both my legs around the other guy's legs, and then I'm like, all right, I'm gonna teeter totter right now because he must do something. I mean, obviously he's using some knee control or thigh control there too, but I'm I'm going right over.
Yeah, it's not as easy as he makes it look. There's a weird tipping point there.
Yeah. I need just lay here while I practice this on you for a while.
He also has them up against the cage usually as well.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. But he's got a good team. And then, be interesting. UFC is it's hot and cold sometimes. It's in those streaks, and we'll see.
Do you watch regularly, or are you a fan?
I am a fan. I don't watch regularly because it's ESPN Plus, and I don't have that. I don't even actually have ESPN, so I'll catch it on the Instagram the next day. So I follow it. Watch it is tough, but Khabib was probably my last favorite guy. So if it's one of his guys like Islam, I'll be interested in and follow it. But I don't have a guy in there right now.
It's the problem I run into. When I do try to watch, I don't know who a lot of the guys are anymore.
Right, yeah.
Well, when they're running events every
weekend.
weekend, it's man, the roster is so inflated with cannon fodder sometimes, right? Just got to get some guys out here to do something. So every once in a while you find somebody who's flashy or has something cool going on, but for the most part, I don't know who half the guys are either, who make up half the card at least, right?
Yeah, and it seems they don't have the big mega cards anymore where it's the last 5 matches are big, huge names because they're just so busy that they spread them out, it seems like.
Yeah.
So we were talking a little off camera, some of your training travels lately. Where have you been lately?
So, again, going kind of half of it correlates into my daughter's step dancing because we go all over, kind of Maryland to Pennsylvania in that area. So when I'm a dance dad, I always jump on Google and see what's in the area. So last weekend, we were in northern New Jersey and ended up going to Silver Fox Jiu-Jitsu, and it was phenomenal.
Did you beat up Danielle Kelly or?
No. But just like one of those things going from one town to the other, because we had a Saturday dance, or she had a Saturday dance, Sunday dance. So as we're traveling, I had the window to hit a gi class and went in. It was great. Maybe 2 weeks ago, we went to Marcelo Garcia's in the city. So that was like our first city trip. I go with Craig, who's a brown belt over at Gracie Farmington Valley, and we have obviously our jiu-jitsu interest, but we're also like huge Anthony Bourdain fans. So we're like, go find a gym in the city to train, and then we'll go to like one of his old restaurants or one of the ones he's had on a show. So we're kind of like, we double it up to make it kind of a thing. So we're going to tomorrow, I think Henzo's we're gonna stop at, for a little class, and then we found a French restaurant to go to afterwards.
Very cultured of you.
Yeah,
Very cultured.
that.
That's awesome. How old is your daughter?
She is 12.
Any interest in jiu-jitsu on her part?
So she's taken it a few times when actually when we were in Terrifil, she did the younger kids class, and then she kind of fell out of interest with it and really got into dance. But of late, she wanted to wrestle. So I was like, all right. And I brought her, she came with me because I brought my son, who's 5, to Fisheye to just check out the kids class. And the coach is great, Jeff. He like sees my daughter and he's like, hey, come here. And he like opens up the trunk and he's like, put these on, and put a pair of wrestling shoes on. And he's like, go over there. And he's like, you mind if she stays? So I'm like, nah, go for it. And she stayed for like an hour, and then my son's like looking around, he's running around, and then we go, and she's like, I want to wrestle. And I'm like, okay. And so she started wrestling, and she does, so they do 5 to 6 is like the little fish. So it's like 5-year-olds. Well, my son's the only 5-year-old. So it's like 6-year-old to 10 or 11. And then from 6 to 8:30 is the high school kids. So she stays from 5 to 8:30. And is like in there in the first couple practices, she's crying and, trying to be tough. And, I'm sitting there, and I just left. I didn't even stay because I didn't want her to, look for me. And then after that, coach is like, she's good. And now she's just in there tough, going with the boys. Like, yeah.
What town are they in? Fisheye?
It's in Windsor. Do you remember? I don't know if you were up here back then. They had the indoor dirt bike thing, and it's right next to Amazon. Not the newest Amazon, the first one. Like really right next there on Day Hill Road. So
it makes me wonder. So I just started bringing my daughter in here.
Yeah.
She's 5. She'll be 6 in December. And she's hooked, right? She's always asking about when she's going back. When am I going to see Coach Pat? But I was wondering, like, she really liked, like when you were doing takedowns that one day. That was like her favorite part so far. And I'm thinking to myself, like, I wonder if wrestling, because the movements are a little more, like, they're a little more gross movements, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, we lie heavily on wrestling in our kids' class just because it's like easy things for them to achieve.
Yeah.
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 And all the kids gravitate towards it.
And my son, from like 3 weeks old, car carrier in the gym, sit there, watch, and then we put like the little bouncy thing, so
Right.
he's been there
Yep.
his whole life. And, there was one day, maybe he was 3.5, 4 years old. He's like, take down. And he shoots like a low single just from watching. And then not too long ago, he was in there. He started kindergarten, so he is in school now, but he's like grabbed my legs and like going like Farashi and stuff and like wrapping his legs around mine.
Yeah.
He goes, you do this. And just all from
from watching.
Just watching. No interest in doing it.
Yeah.
But all from watching. And like wrestling practice, the coach has taught him how to like shoot a single and all that, and he'll do it for a little bit, and then he's just playing. And the coach is like, totally fine. You just want him to be in the room, make friends, and want to hang out here. He's like, he's only 5. When he's 6, 7, 8, 9,
Right.
different story, Right. So it's great. It's
Do they run just year round, or do they run?
Yeah. So the kids program is year round. The high school program is intense, like right now, like preseason. And then obviously once high school wrestling starts, some of the kids, I guess, will come in once or twice a week to get some extra practice. But for the most part, they're off doing their high school stuff. But they're, at Super 32, and they were in Lock Haven University last weekend. So they're doing some big tournaments. And that's
My son just had his first wrestling exposure end of last school year. Like they just had a little, it was like a Granby town rec program. It was for like 5th to 8th graders, and he was hooked on it, but there's just not a lot of school-based opportunities at that age.
Right. What
So
grade?
you might check it out.
Is he
He's in
7th?
6th.
6th. Okay. Yeah. So. Yeah, it's right down the road.
Yep. I mean, he's here with me all the time, but he enjoyed the pure wrestling too.
Yeah. It's it was another funny story with that is Friday nights is like more of like a open mat, so kind of as wrestling practice, and then the last half hour is conditioning, but generally play games. So the first Friday my daughter was there, he's like, all right, dodgeball. And he's lining up the dodgeballs in the middle, and there's 20 kids over here, 20 kids over here. And legit, like dodgeball, like we know it, you know?
Yeah.
And he's like, if any of you guys hit the little kids in the head, you're in trouble. And other than that, they're pegging each other and everything. And afterwards, my daughter walks over and she's like, we're not allowed to do that in school. you gotta throw the ball at their feet or you'll get thrown out of school. And I'm like, oh, this is real.
Welcome to the old school way.
This is legit. So it's hardcore practice. It's good.
I told Pat I was away over the weekend, and my parents are like in their 70s, and I forget how it even started, but my daughter shot a single leg on my mom. I was like, "Oh, what are you doing? Like, let's not
Don't tackle grandma."
Yeah, let's not try to take down grandma, please. It was pretty funny. Everyone else was laughing. My father was a wrestling coach for years, so he was laughing. He thought that was the best thing he's ever seen, of course. Because we were like, "Oh, show us your wrestling stance, Clara," and that's what started. She did that, and then next thing you know, she's on my mom's leg. Let's not do that, please.
It's so much easier to teach the really little kids wrestling than jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
It's like, I think day one with Clara, I'm like, do you know how to take someone down? She's like, no. I'm like, do you think you can just grab their leg and tackle them to the floor? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's what I mean. Like the movements are like so much, I don't want to say larger, right? But they're kind of like more broad conceptually that they can understand versus like get a hamburger grip and do this.
Yeah,
Like Lego man grips, dude.
I mean, if you think about it, it's shoot a double. So you show them like, step, change the level, drop your knee, tackle, and then bottom referee's position, just stand up, basically, and then the top referee's position, just hold on.
Yeah, at the simple level, it's
a
lot more simple.
Yeah. You want to ask him the questions? You got time for that?
We do have time for it.
Okay.
So, what would you be looking for in your walkout music? Actually, you fought, right? Did you have walkout music?
Yes, I did. It was so I was on Team Dog Pound for any of the old school guys here. So back in 04, 05 is when I was fighting it, and I did the music from We Were Soldiers when he's getting off the helicopter, and it was like lay me down in the cold, cold ground. So that was it. Nice. I like that one.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
What would you choose these days?
These days, I don't know. Maybe it'd probably have to be something silly. I think you can't take yourself too seriously. So maybe like an Alan Jackson song or something.
You'd be surprised how often guys are like, I just pick something silly.
Yeah. Like I'm nervous enough. I don't need music making me more intense.
Right, yeah, because that's,
And then other people, it's just straight up death metal.
So a funny story with that, I had a couple amateur fights. And I had one pro fight. It was a packed Club Lido up in Revere, Mass, because it's I think it's still illegal in Connecticut.
No, it's last couple of years it was legal.
Have they had it? Okay. So back then it was illegal. So we had to go up in Mass, and I had like my team and my coaches for my team, but then I had Greg Sneed, who was like a police officer mentor for me, and he had showed me some stuff. Like I had trained with him before, but maybe he did I met with him like one time before the fight, and we went over a couple things. And while all the fight's going on in the middle of it, and it was the crowd blurred, and he was like 5 rows back, and I could picture his face and hear exactly what he was saying. The strangest thing of it is like totally
zeroed right in.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was pretty cool, and so that was one of the things that I remembered about it. There were other funny parts of it, but yeah, so probably something a little sillier now, like Ed Sheeran's perfect or something. Who knows? You know, throw the other guy off.
We have a Spotify playlist that we've been building over the last couple of years now of all the different walkout songs that guys guys and gals have used or wanted to use if they haven't. So every once in a while we post it. I haven't done it recently, but I'll get that posted.
We Were Soldiers is a good one then.
Okay. I'll look that up.
Yeah.
I'll look that up. Man, we haven't asked the questions in so long. I feel like I forget what they are. When people ask you about, hey, what's that martial art that you do? Or you do martial arts? Like, what do you say?
So these days, you don't get it as much if you say jujitsu. I think most people back in the day, everything was karate. Like, you know, what do you do?
Give
you know,
me the
like
karate hands.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, but now you say jujitsu, I think most people understand it. The funny thing is, and I think it's funny, is if you meet people who do adult karate, they think they're on the same level, and it's comical to hear that and listen to them talk because it's funny. But yeah, for the most part, I'm big into. I think everyone for the most part comes in for the self-defense reasons. I haven't met. I don't know. Maybe it's different for you guys. I haven't met the guy who walked in day one and was like, "I want to win ADCC. That's why I'm here."
We did know one guy, right?
Did he last?
Well, he came in. He had some prior experience elsewhere.
Yeah.
No, it did not last.
Yeah.
Thank God.
You know, and it's sometimes, you know, guys, testosterone and stuff, they don't want to admit that that's why they're there. But, you know, hey, I don't want to, if somebody accosts me at the gas station, I want to be able to handle myself. Sure. So if somebody asks me about it or what it is, I'll go down that aspect of it first, of close the distance, you know, manage position, take it to the ground if you need to, blah, blah, blah. But I found for the most part, people know what jiu-jitsu is now more than definitely 10 years ago, for sure.
Yeah, I actually had a conversation with someone at work today about jiu-jitsu, and when I mentioned it, I was kind of like waiting to see what her response would be, and she knew what I was talking about. And I was actually pleasantly surprised because I always just go into the assumption that people have no idea what the heck I'm talking about, right? Like, but you know, some people do. I'm like, oh, okay. We had a doctor on in the last episode, and I was saying to him, like, sometimes you go like, oh, I tore up my knee. I got to go see my orthopedist, and I'm telling him what happened, and he has no idea what the hell I'm talking about, right? Like,
so there's a physical therapy place in Avon, which is a town that borders Canton, where our gym is, that all of us, a good majority of us, go to. And when I first started going, you know, it was like, well, what do you do? And I'm like, hey, and now they're like, do you know Eric? Yeah, and you do jiu-jitsu? Okay, so you probably have some sort of shoulder or elbow.
Right, so your joints are all jacked up.
Yeah, exactly.
That's like Randy has the chiropractor that several guys here have gone to, and he sends all of his guys to.
Oh,
so
really?
She knows what's going on, what the problems are.
Yeah, because then, like, you know, pick up the 5-pound weights or the 2-pound weights and do this is like, and be careful. Like, no.
Yeah.
Just give it to me.
Right, give me the good stuff.
Yeah.
Right,
Get me back as soon as possible.
Yeah.
right.
Then what do you do when they follow up with, so I bet you can kick my ass, right?
So I haven't had, I don't even want to knock on wood because I think I would actually enjoy it. I haven't had the family member come up to me and be like, you know, you always hear at the, you know,
The barbecue.
yeah, the barbecue. I never had that.
Take you.
And and haven't had anyone like that be like, oh, so could you, you know, and have to like deal with it in the front yard. At work, I'm a police officer. At work, it hasn't really come up because when I was doing the MMA stuff, I had just started. I got hired in 2003, and I started doing the MMA stuff in like 2004. So like from that point on, I'm coming to work all bruised up and banged out.
Everyone just knows.
And just knows. And now, like, you got the gnarly ears and all that stuff. So there's some guys that I work with that are like, when they came in and they were brand new, and people are like, hey, you know, he'd beat you up, and they're like, no way. And then, like, you know, you take them to the gym. So I guess it kind of happens that way.
Yeah.
But for the most part, like, I have not had to, like, actually challenge.
Haven't had to prove it.
Yeah, I haven't had to show anybody. I think not saying that I don't want to, but it just hasn't happened.
Sure. I don't know. I mean, do you find, we never really talked about this, but I've definitely been in situations where, with my daughter or girlfriends or my wife, right, where I'm like, kind of watching something going on, right? And you're immediately start to formulate like, okay, if something pops off here, I know what I'm doing, right? like it definitely gets you, not that you want to do that, but like gets you in that safe mind space where you're like, I know what I'm going to do if something goes wrong here, right? Like
I'm always doing that.
Yeah.
So I had one of those, and you try and, again, try and teach your daughter or my daughter, like the world isn't, Disneyland. And we were in some crappy part of Pennsylvania walking out of the store, and I see the guy like 10 cars down walking towards me, and he got in between myself and my daughter and our car, and he's totally drunk and he's looking for money, and I'm like angling him off so that I'm like, go get in the car. And she's totally, do you know him? No, I don't know him. We're in a different state. But I'd say the majority of people aren't even going to recognize that guy till he's right on top of him. I had time to formulate, all the great things I wanted to do.
Yeah.
But I think it's, it's just that, it just, even if you're totally like sports focused on it, I think you're still in that more animalistic mindset a lot more than everyone else is. So you're kind of more observant, I think, hopefully.
I mean, I tell everyone a lot of the tools are still going to apply.
Oh yeah.
Of course, I'm not going to lay on my back and try to leg lock somebody if they attack me at the gas station. Like,
so
I'm not accidentally going to do that because that's what I do training.
Right. I do a lot of the stuff I do is the police training and all that. And these people that are like, a sports jiu-jitsu person isn't going to win. I'm like, you are crazy. Like, you are legitimately crazy.
Against a Joe Schmo on the street, right?
If you don't think like a blue belt in any jiu-jitsu school is not going to be able to handle himself, you're crazy. Like, crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Anything else, Jeff?
I'm good.
Any plugs you want to put out there? See your Wild Bill Brasky shirt?
I do. Wild Bill Brasky, Knife and Tools. He makes some great stuff. It's Bill. I work with him over at the police department. He's also a brown belt at Gracie Farmington Valley. But
I've been wanting to get him to custom make me something. I
need to go
save up my pennies.
Yeah, they're good paperweights. So obviously the sad news in Bristol over the last couple of weeks. There's going to be a super seminar at Ascension in Bristol on December 17th. It's going to be 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. and it'll be 15 black belts doing a donation-based seminar. So
awesome.
That'll be a good event.
Yeah, hopefully some good money gets raised.
Yeah, they've raised quite a bit already. If you look at the website, like $500,000 already, which is not nearly enough. But the seminar is a great cause. Joey Carta is heading that off with some of the guys from Ascension to really plan it and everything, and they're doing an excellent job. So got that. I don't really have anything for myself to plug. If you're, if we have law enforcement that are listening to the podcast, Rob Magow puts on the Officer Survival Series police training course up at his place in Manchester, BJJ. The best law enforcement course there is, which I help instruct at. So always say, get people out there, even if you've not done 1 minute of jiu-jitsu or any type of training. It's no better time to start than now. I mean, so
yeah, we had Rab on a few months ago.
Yeah,
our listeners should be familiar.
Yeah,
awesome.
we'll do this thing. Like I always talk about this thing.
Click the link up
putting
here.
the link up here.
Yeah.
We'll link to Rob's
Perfect,
video.
yeah.
And we'll put a link to the fundraising seminar
Yeah,
in the description too. That'd
Thank
be great.
you. Yeah,
Cool.
time flies. This
Yeah.
is great.
Thanks,
We're
man.
an hour
Appreciate
next.
it. It was fun discussion. We took it off the side, right? We probably talked more about jiu-jitsu in this pod than we have in all the other pods, right?
Yeah.
Like actual jiu-jitsu. We very rarely actually do that here. So it was fun.
Thank you. Yeah,
cool.
appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks for coming out.
Appreciate it. Have a good one. Thanks for rolling.